Trail, BC can be described as a working-class community, created and influenced by the long-term presence of its major employer and benefactor, the Consolidated Mining and Smelting Company of Canada, now known as Cominco. Trail is widely known for its overall friendliness, its family-oriented lifestyle, and community spirit. This has fostered a camaraderie throughout the community, working together to create a city which is the economic and social cornerstone of many smaller communities, with a total population of over 20,000 people.
Cominco's smelter has a strong physical presence in the community. Over the years, it has provided a workplace for thousands and ensured economic security to the entire region. Many people came from all walks of life and regions to work in Trail for a short time because of the good wages. They stayed a lifetime because of the job security, personal opportunities, and easygoing lifestyle in the community, in a setting of beautiful rivers, creeks, lakes, and mountains. The strong ethnic influence of Trail's citizens and their desire to make the best of their environment has led to a strong community, physically, culturally, and socially. The emphasis on family values in the community has led to first-class educational, medical, and recreational facilities, plus lifelong friendships and bonds. Trail's citizens have a great pride and strong emotional bond to the legacy they have created and wish to pass on to future generations. The history of Trail is closely linked to the prosperity of Cominco and the mining and smelting industry in Canada. The first smelter in Trail was established by Augustus Fritz Heinz in 1896 to treat gold copper ores from the nearby Rossland mines. In 1898, the smelter was purchased by the Canadian Pacific Railway. In 1906, the Consolidated Mining and Smelting Company of Canada Limited was formed to secure a reliable supply of ore and power. This enabled the smelter operation to be viable in spite of declining ore reserves in local mines. In 1910, the company purchased the Sullivan Mine in Kimberley to provide a steady supply of lead-zinc ore for almost 100 years, securing the future of Trail. Technological innovations developed by the company's engineering staff led to a major expansion of the Trail smelter in the 1920s. The smelter's physical presence expanded with the construction of a zinc electrolytic plant, an enlarged lead smelter, and a fertilizer plant. By the end of World War II, the Trail smelter was the largest non-ferrous smelter in the world. With the prosperity and expansion of the smelter came growth for the community, which is still true today. Trail's ethnic diversity is a significant contributor to its personality. Before the turn of the century, the Columbia River was the highway on which people of different origin came to Trail Creek Landing. Chinese came, working on the Dewdney Trail in the 1860s, some searching for gold and later working on the railways. In subsequent years, they set up gardens, laundries, restaurants, tailor shops, boarding rooms, grocery stores, and a market garden in Trail's Gulch. As well, the Chinese gamblers and opium smokers were popular along the downtown Bowery. A common image was Chin Yik, or Charlie, carrying his vegetables in a yoke basket, selling door to door. In the 1960s, at age 80, he moved back to Hong Kong. Trail citizens can still recall the names of the owners of the many Chinese cafes and restaurants established over the years. The Canadian Cafe, the Lee family's Savoy Cafe, Chuck Ma's Elite Cafe, the Palace Cafe, John Chow's Trail Cafe, Harry Lim's Bluebird Cafe, Harry Young's Star Cafe, and Harry Wong's Crown Point Cafe. The offices of the Chikantong, Chinese Freemasons, and the Kuomintang, Chinese National Party, provided room and board for Chinese men. Isacco Giorgetti was the first Italian to come to Trail in 1897. He had worked with Augustus Heinz in Butte, Montana. Isacco encouraged many more of his paesani to better their lives by coming to Trail. They built their homes in the area called Dublin Gulch, now known as Rossland Avenue. Italians soon established many businesses along Rossland Avenue. Grocery stores such as Giorgetti and Priori's, Italian Co-op, Dalloy's Grocery, BC Fruit Store, Fred Lorient's, first to import from Italy, Tofolo's, Venetian, Tonelli's, Molina's, Star Grocery, meat markets, Workman's Meat Market, later Happy Tognotti's Butcher Shop, Trail Meat Market. Other businesses, Camille Lorient's Clothing Store, Modern Shop, women's clothing, Priori's Liquor Store until Prohibition, bakeries, 4X and Star, ice cream parlor, Gulch Light Lunch, or Mashi's. There were also many hotels, the Austrian, Venezia, Montana, and the Kootenai Hotel, famous worldwide for its great spaghetti meals. Trail's first famous amateur photographer, Antonio Vannucci, came to Trail in the early 1900s with Max Heberlin of England to establish in the smelter a new process for roasting and sintering lead ores. Vannucci's photos detailed the Italian community and the culture of Trail in the early years. The Cristoforo Colombo Lodge, a benevolent society, was formed in 1905 to assist members in times of sickness or death. It became the center of the Italian community's social activities. The Sorelle, Sisters of Colombo, the Italo-Canadese Lodge, and others were formed later for similar reasons. These organizations have made significant contributions to the culture of Trail. Trail's Festival Society many years ago decided to adopt an Italian theme for the city's annual civic celebrations. In May of each year, the Grape Stomp, feasting on spaghetti and meatballs, and wine tasting are great fun. Today's walking tours of Trail feature the unique mosaic stone walls, a legacy to the Italian stonemasons of the past. Both Scots and Irish came to Trail in the early 1900s. A predominantly Scottish community, Little Scotland, was located on the south end of East Trail. The Caledonian Society was officially formed on April 11, 1923. By 1930, they had become extremely active, with an annual celebration of the Highland Games held in Butler Park. Track and field events were popular and fiercely competitive, a highlight in the community. They sponsored Trail's first pipe band under pipe major John McLennan, along with curling, hockey, and baseball teams. In 1947, John Ferguson, a retired Scottish cabinet maker, built a 15-foot-high replica of Glamis Castle in his yard in celebration of his Scottish heritage. Mrs. Ferguson often served tea to visitors in the castle, which is now owned by the City of Trail. Today's Caledonian Games consist only of Highland dancing competitions. The Katie Shaw Traditional Highland Dancing School has been very successful, producing world champion dancers. Severe economic conditions brought Jewish immigrants to Trail after the 1929 stock market debacle. This small Jewish community of 50 families was the only one in the BC interior. The first known Jewish merchant in Trail was Aaron Singer. He opened a store in the Gulch. Other Jewish families established retail outlets, clothing stores, Miller's, Woogman's, Levy's, and Bramer's, Goldstein's shoe store, Horlick's, Dollar Cleaners, Corbin, Zagin's furniture, confectionery, Siegel's, and Joffe's. Mr. Menkes is remembered as a favorite high school math teacher. The Jewish Benevolent Society was created to look after all activities of the Jewish community in the city. Jewish parents tried to give their children a grounding in Jewish education. One of the minute books of the Trail Community Association is now in the possession of the Jewish Historical Society of British Columbia. It represents an important piece of Jewish history in our province. During the Second World War, Leopold Levy was the head of the Red Cross Disaster Services. In 1968, the last of the original group, Leopold and his wife, with mixed emotions, left to live in Vancouver. Trail citizens supported Canada's war efforts in World War I and World War II, and the Red Cross became a major organization in the community. After World War I, the memorial building was constructed, a tribute to Trail's 34 fallen comrades. In the Second World War, 120 Trail men paid the ultimate sacrifice. Remembrance Day is commemorated at the Trail Cenotaph. Following both the First and Second World Wars, the population of Trail greatly increased. English war brides joined their husbands and started their families. In the 1950s, Trail had one of the largest Italian populations in Canada. In addition, immigrants from Scotland, Ireland, Poland, Austria, Slovakia, Holland, Russia, and Sweden made Trail their home. Each ethnic group has maintained much of its own customs while steadily blending with each other to form a truly multicultural city. The women have always been most important in the development of our community. They raised the children and kept the home and often provided board and room for incoming friends and families. In the early years, the families living in primitive conditions enjoyed companionship, singing, and drama clubs. Music has been a very important part of life in home, church, and social functions. One of the first bands was an Italian group, and by 1908, the Trail Citizen Band was formed. The Trail Maple Leaf Band evolved from the Italian band to become well known all over BC and Washington. This band enjoys the status of being the longest surviving community band in Canada. Dance bands such as the Serenaders and the Rhythm Kings were very popular in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Music continues to be enjoyed by many at banquets and evening entertainment. The Swingsations Orchestra is currently popular. Choirs have always been enjoyed in the community. The Trail Male Chorus, the a cappella singers, the Italian choir, to mention a few. The original Trail Opera House was the scene for many gala balls, minstrel shows, plays, and other social events. The Colombo Lodge and schools produced many plays and operettas throughout the years. Today, the Charles Bailey Theatre continues to be the setting for exciting plays, operettas, bands, orchestras, and dance. Radio came to Trail in 1930. The first radio club used a 10-watt transmitter and the call letters 10AT, which became CJAT. It's now KBS-FM, broadcasting throughout the Kootenay boundary. Their early programs included local talent and news. Their studio was in a small room in the city's downtown area. They now operate from a good-sized building in East Trail. Some long-standing businesses remain in Trail. The Crown Point and Arlington hotels are both at their original locations. The Crown Point was rebuilt in 1929, and the Arlington is now minus its third and fourth stories and conical tower. The Trail Daily Times, originally the Trail Creek News, has been at the present location since 1921. West Kootenay Power has provided electricity for the Trail area since 1897 and has maintained buildings here since 1931. The Bank of Montreal opened its doors in 1915 and the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce in 1919. They continue to serve the people of Trail today. The first post office was located at the Trail House in 1895, and today the post office is located on the corner of Spokane Street and Pine Avenue. Many long-time businesses in Trail are family operations. They were founded or bought as early as 1912. John Balfour started Balfour's Plumbing and Heating in 1912. He was joined by sons Brick and Scotty. John's grandson and great-grandsons still own and operate Balfour & Sons today. In the early 1920s, Alfred Clark and Noble Binns operated a funeral service in Trail. Carberry Funeral Home was owned and operated by the Clark family for many years. Today, Bill Clark Jr. continues in the family profession. Peter Durkin Sr. opened his first jewelry store in 1936. He and his wife Florence ran the business until the 1960s. Son Robert re-established Durkin's Jewelry in 1966, and his family continues to operate the business as Lawner Brothers Jewelers today. The Ferrero family began their grocery business in Annabelle in the 1940s, and by the 1950s a store was established in downtown Trail. Esther, Nella, and Jimmy Ferrero ran the store under the name of SuperValue, now called Ferrero Foods. It is still owned and operated by the Ferrero family. Bob Lee was involved very early in a family business in Trail. During the 1960s, he opened Rock Island Tape Center at Rock Island, and later moved the business to downtown Trail, where it is now managed by his son. In 1918, Bruno LaRose started a retail meat market. Later, his sons, Gino and Ernest, established LaRose Mercantile. Gino established the Terra Nova Hotel, Colander and Riverbell restaurants. Today, the LaRose family holds a high profile in the business world of Trail. Alfonso and Giuseppe Merlo purchased the City Bakery in 1930. Reno and Grace Merlo continue to operate the bakery today. In 1937, Federico Merlo purchased a third of the Union Hotel located on the corner of Cedar and Victoria. It is currently owned and managed by Federico's son, Fred Merlo. Education facilities were in the Hanna Block on Bay Avenue. In 1896, a two-room school was built above the town with 40 pupils attending, being replaced by the 8-room Central School in 1912. It grew rapidly, eventually having additions of 3 wings, including grades 1 to 12. In 1923, Trail Technical High School was built in the downtown area for grades 8 to 12. With the advent of the bridge crossing the Columbia River in 1912, and the many families taking up residence on the east side of the river, it was necessary to construct a 2-room school in 1917, later named Laura J. Moorish. Central and Moorish schools were closed in June 2000. The new Trail Middle School replaced Laura J. Moorish in September 2001. Elementary schools today operate in Sunningdale, Glen Mary, East Trail, St. Michael's, and at Webster in the Warfield area. The J.L. Crow Secondary School opened in 1951 to accommodate students of the Greater Trail area and currently offers grade 9 to 12. In 1989, the Trail Technical School, or Trail Junior High, was renovated and renamed the Greater Trail Community Center, housing Selkirk College, Charles Bailey Theater, Visac Art Gallery, and a senior citizens social room. Trail schools have always been noted for their high standard of education, both in the province and across Canada. To this day, Trail citizens are represented in every area of business, culture, sport across our country. Many are known internationally. It is interesting to note that no matter how far and wide our citizens travel, their roots remain planted in Trail. Every homecoming, every school reunion, and every family reunion bring its children back. The churches held a very important position in the lives of the early settlers of Trail, not only the religious aspect, but as a very much needed recreational outlet. Our pioneer churches, St. Andrew's Anglican, St. Francis Xavier Catholic, St. Anthony's Catholic, Our Lady of Perpetual Help Catholic, Knox United Church, Presbyterian, and Baptist continue to be active today. In the mid-30s, the Sisters of St. Joseph started the first kindergarten in Trail at St. Anthony's Church. The Salvation Army, Seventh-day Adventist, Pentecostal, Lutheran, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Alliance, and others also hold an important place with the family and community. Charitable work is often accomplished through the church and its affiliates. The churches represent some of the most beautiful buildings, both old and new, in the city. Prior to the turn of the 20th century, the first fraternal organization was the Knights of Pythias No. 23, followed by Maccabees, Foresters, Oddfellows, the Order of United Workmen, and Fidelity Lodge No. 32. The Knights of Pythias and the Pythian Sisters, active since the early years, have long supported the cause of cerebral palsy in Trail. Fidelity Lodge number 32, instituted in 1899, continues to serve particularly local health care issues. In 1904, the Croatian Fraternal Lodge was established in Trail. Soon to follow in 1905 was the Cristoforo Colombo Lodge, serving the interests of Italian Canadians in the area. The Knights of Columbus and the Canadian Red Cross Society were formed in 1907 and 1908 respectively. Two chapters of the Imperial Order of Daughters of the Empire have served many years in Trail. United Way, created in 1928, follows this tradition. The churches, social clubs, and societies have become the basis of all the volunteer support for the building of our community. This network of volunteers has enabled the community to grow and to provide its citizens with world-class facilities such as the Memorial Arena, the Regional Hospital, the Field House, the Aquatic Center, the parks, Gyro, Haley, track and field and softball, Butler, senior baseball, Bileski, Little League. This volunteerism has defined not only its people, but the manner in which it functions as a community. Due to the efforts of the citizens of Trail, the city boasts of an excellent regional hospital built in 1954. The construction of an ambulatory care unit in 2001 provides additional care to the citizens of the area. In 1895, the first doctors who had arrived in Trail began with a small 8-bed hospital. In 1915, the doctors formed the Trail Rossland Clinic, later known as the C.S. Williams Clinic. Welfare schemes set up by the Consolidated Mining and Smelting Company in the 1920s dulled the hardship of the Depression. Employees lived under a hospital and insurance plan with low premiums and also had sick benefits and insurance. A similar provincial medical health scheme covering all citizens was formed prior to the World War II. Trail is well known for its rich sports history. Regional, provincial, national, and world championships have had success in just about every sport one can name. The first major championship came in 1938 when the Trail Smoke Eaters won the Allen Cup, and followed the next season winning the World Amateur Hockey title in Switzerland. The Smoke Eaters won a second World Championship in March 1961, a well-timed achievement occurring in Trail's Diamond Jubilee year. Trail is also known for its strong junior hockey program. In the 1930s, the Trail junior team was provincial champion for 6 years, from 1932 to 1939. It was Trail's Charlie McLean who came up with the concept of Minor Hockey Week. In 1957, it was celebrated across Canada as a way to recognize and encourage all those involved, be it players, coaches, or parents in promoting youth hockey. Hockey remains Trail's premier sport that still brings acclaim to the city. Curlers have long been a part of Trail's sport history. The Trail Curling Club was established in 1908. One of the area's most memorable teams was the Frenchy Demeanor rink that brought the national curling title to Trail, winning the MacDonald Brier in March 1948. Trailites have indulged in many sports: tennis, horse racing, baseball, lacrosse, cricket, football, boxing, wrestling, basketball, skiing, golf, and track and field. Not only were individual and team achievements promoted, but residents focused on the development of a community infrastructure to support their tradition of sporting excellence. The area boasts internationally recognized baseball programs. Well-known coach Andy Bileski, who has taken 11 Little League teams to the Canadian Championships, has won 5 national titles. Trail has been home to a regulation-sized track since the 50s. Track coach and athlete Willie Krause has been the driving force behind local track and field, producing several high-ranking international athletes. Area residents have enjoyed golf since 1922, and today golf at the 2 championship courses of the Rossland Trail Country Club. Aquatic sport has also been a tradition in Trail. Jubilee Pool served the community well from 1928 to 1960. City leaders took the initiative in 1961 and commissioned the Wright Memorial Pool. The Stingray Swim Club has won many provincial and regional championships. In 1995, Trail demonstrated once again great leadership and undertook the construction of the Trail Aquatic and Leisure Center, a 27,000 square foot award-winning recreation facility. A further extension of the east side followed when Sunningdale, Shaver's Bench, and Mary's Flats, Glenmary, were taken into the city boundaries in 1948 and 1950. Glenmary was named after Mary's hay farm and Barclay's Glenone dairy. George Legg Mary's son, Bilson D.B., built and operated a major sawmill there. Bilson's son, George, managed this sawmill until 1974 when it was destroyed by fire. Trail's boundaries now include east of Juanita Junction area, south to Violin Lake, north of both Tadnak, including Cominco, and Sunningdale. In 1996, Kootenay Savings Credit Union and the City of Trail honored the people in the community with the construction of the Home of Champions Monument. This monument celebrates the spirit of accomplishment of the citizens of the Greater Trail region in sport, industry, and lifestyle.
Trail's image has grown from a small smelter town to a thriving community, known worldwide as the Silver City or the Home of Champions. The lush green hills, the mosaic rock walls, miles of covered stairs leading to the picturesque homes and gardens remind one of Europe. Everywhere you look, there is green grass, green hills, beautiful flowers, and clear blue skies. The city's parks are an invitation to sit and enjoy the mighty Columbia River. In the beginning, the river brought the people, and it will continue to give life to the city's future. Year 2001 marks our centennial year. The citizens of Trail dedicated this family statue to our city in the Home of Champions. This represents the strength of our community, both past and present, as we look confidently forward to the next 100 years.